Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi,
Hi,
good
Hello.
Brian.
afternoon.
Ah, Thank you so much for joining me. Uh, I'm Brian Finnerty with Macabre Daily, and we're recording, so I'm just going to jump right into the introduction, and then we'll say a proper hello. I am like kind of starstruck to be here with some of the great minds behind The Ugly Stepsister, which is like one of my favorite movies of last year. We have Emilie Blichfeldt, the writer-director, Anne Cathrine Sauerberg, who's head of hair and makeup, and Thomas Foldberg, who's in charge of prosthetics and special effects. How are you all this afternoon?
We're
Good.
great. We're
Thank you. We're great.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, obviously we're here to talk about the really big news that you're all Academy Award nominees.
Yeah.
We give credit right over here. Uh,
They're over
you were
there.
maybe a little part of it too, Amelia.
I'm just a little part of it. I just hired them. They did the rest.
Yeah,
But best hair and makeup in the 98th Academy Awards. Does it feel real yet?
sometimes.
Yeah,
Some days
sometimes the
I
reality.
think, oh my
Yeah.
God. But other
Um,
days it's like, yeah, first you have to still work and you have to relate to that. Oh my God,
Mm.
I still have the same problems in my work. Is
oh,
this really an Oscar nominee working? God damn it. And then
I
other days it's like, it's amazing that somebody is finally taking something that we spend our entire life on very seriously. And that's, of course, wonderful and an enormous honor.
I'm sure that's really a funny and humanizing point. The idea that like you get nominated for Academy Award and then you have to go home and fold your laundry. That just doesn't feel right for some reason.
No, it's more like when you're with a wig on set and it's like, come on now. Yeah, it's just supposed to be amazing.
Oh. So I thought like especially since I have all three of you here, I wanted to start with maybe a sort of a collaborative question about how I guess just how the three of your roles worked together in the movie. I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume obviously the script comes along first, but then I'm kind of curious as you go through the process of making it, do you find that the hair and makeup and the special effects, do they influence the story in any ways that kind of pushed you or challenged you or surprised you?
Um, yeah, the script was, of course, there when Thomas and Catherine got attached, and it's quite a low budget film for its ambition.
Yeah,
So
doesn't look
we
it.
didn't really have the wiggle room to be like, we want to do more.
Mhm.
Or, it was really about how can it was already kind of specced with both, Thomas's character work with prosthetics and gore stuff and Catherine's, amazing ball looks and all of this. It was more of like, how can we do all of this with the little money we have and without losing it, losing stuff. And um, so uh, of course, as a also first time debut feature filmmaker, I
Yeah.
was totally reliant on these people to do magic with nothing, and I still don't understand how they made it possible.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, you say this about a lot of movies, but so much in the case of yours, it does not look like it was made with a limited budget. It's absolutely incredible, truly magic.
That's nice to hear. I mean, that means a lot because, yeah, that is really the truth. Yeah. So yeah, the list was very long. I mean, there was so much stuff, and the script was so finished when I read it the first time. So it was just I know I think I had 47 singular pieces of work for it, which is really a lot for like a Scandinavian movie at least. So
Mhm.
in that sense, it was massive. but Emilie didn't really change anything from the first meeting until the last day of shooting. So it was just everything. But the strange thing with this project was that I was probably one of the first that actually was brought onto it. I'm not used to that. I will always come after at least a makeup designer very often. So this time was very cool and very interesting to be part of this whole. I wasn't at the storyboard meetings, but I was still a part on it on the side and talking back and forth about ideas with Emilie. So being that much into it from the beginning was just really, really nice. Also to know a project extremely well from the inside from the beginning was such a gift that I'm not used to. I mean, you can read a script, but usually then you're busy because time frames are short and everything. So getting to know it like that was very unique, I think.
Yeah, and I have to say, it's not that Anne Cathrine and Thomas didn't affect on this movie at all, because they really did. But it's less in the script sense and more, when I took off my screenwriting hat and took my director's hat on and said, "Oh shit, who the hell wrote this? And how will we ever make this happen?
Oh my God, I
And
wrote
how
this.
can
Now
we
we
make
have
this?"
to make it appear on camera. It's not just in
Exactly,
my
exactly.
imagination.
And I think that was such an important collaboration with both of them. So the first periods of just after I started working with Thomas and also with Anne Cathrine, I spent a lot of time, doing this, or we had these small workshops almost, where I really tried to understand their work and how do you build a wig and what are the different possibilities we can do in terms of makeup, how far can we push it, and then Cathrine was really bold, but with great sensibility just for the 1800s and from the 1970s that I love and that she also loves. So, we had a lot of fun. And then also with Thomas, really spending time in his studio and understanding what goes into his work, when he builds something on a face, So I also and I like to touch stuff, so I also was there helping him take off like prosthetics of Leia, also to understand what goes what's in it for the actor, wearing all of this. So that was
Sure.
a lot of fun.
I was trying to think because you have talked to so many people. I was trying to think of like something that might be creative or different to talk about. And very understandably, the film gets so much attention to the story of Elvira and Agnes for very good reason. Incredible narrative. But I was kind of curious to turn the spotlight to Alma for a minute, if we could, who I was excited to see in an interview that you did, Amelia, that you referred to her as maybe the only hero in the story.
Yeah.
I loved her character. I ended up writing an entire article for Macabre Daily about her being like a queer icon in horror
Right.
last year.
Wow, that's
Um,
amazing.
but I was wondering if maybe primarily for Catherine, could you talk a little bit about Alma's story throughout the narrative? And it seems so much of it was told through the way that she was dressed and the way that her hair was done and that she presented.
The dress is the wonderful Manon, who has worked for many, many years, and I've worked a lot together with. But it was fairly easy as well. It was the first time I met Emilia. She brought Flo, who plays Alma,
Mhm.
and Leah, who plays Elvira, to my apartment, and we had this workshop. And I just saw her and thought that she has short, curly red hair, and the first idea was just let's make this hair really big and really wild and really natural.
Mhm.
And so that was what we did. And then we thought, no, in the beginning, she's not as free yet. So we just braided it. It's quite a simple character because she's supposed to be like rooted in herself. So she hasn't got this big change through her. So we just thought we would do the braids in the beginning because it's still mom who decides everything, and then make her become more loose and more powerful with the loose hair.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and also not be, yeah, and also not be afraid of making her feminine, also
yeah,
at the end, because yes, she is kind of like the knight in shining armor,
Yeah.
But it felt, it's really a film about women, and it felt like a cheap shortcut to make her into too much of a boyish character. She is very boyish in many ways, tomboy, but to that at the end she has this big red, very feminine hair.
Yeah. The
So
fluidity was so
exactly,
cool,
yeah.
that which
Oh,
is
that's great.
so just like finger on the pulse of kind of how we think about, and I might be projecting all over your movie, but just how we think about gender these days, and men and women's roles within the within
Yeah, yeah,
within
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
world.
No,
Yeah,
I
it's
th
also
yeah.
natural that a character is, when a character is natural, you will always somehow be somewhere in between a man and a woman. Because if we just let everything
True.
grow, we except for the beard, we would kind of look the same. So it's, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very
sure.
true. But actually, Thomas has a finger in play on Alma as well that no one has actually seen
Ooh,
yet.
Yeah.
tell us.
But she's also wearing a nose, actually, just to make her nose the same as Elvira.
All
Oh,
So
through the film, she has a
yeah,
prosthetic nose.
yeah, because she has a
wow.
very different nose in private. Yeah, so that's
Okay.
cool.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
We
Like,
fun.
really wanted her and Elvira to have the same sisterly nose in the beginning, and then Elvira, changes it, but that she has this characteristic little, bump on her nose.
oh,
She
I
has it
love the
throughout.
attention to detail. And like, that kind of brings me to a question I have for you, Thomas. Again, obviously there's so many big set pieces around these wild prosthetics, the tapeworm, the cutting off of the toes, the eyelashes. Um, I know that sometimes the experience of making the movie can be very different from the people watching it. I was kind of curious just if you had a favorite special effect or prosthetic, whether it was the most challenging or interesting or just fun for you.
The most interesting thing to me was to make Elvira the whole character. I mean,
Mhm.
that whole look in the beginning was, because it's very much what I'm very interested in doing, like the character work and doing a believable character with all the assets that was needed, like the slightly cartoony, slightly young, goofy teenager. All of those things were so important to get into play with each other. So designing that character and making her real, and seeing her coming together in the different tests, but finally on the shoot, was just really, really, really interesting.
Mhm.
And definitely a favorite. But also the more regular makeup effects, like the sewing of the eyelashes and stuff, was super interesting to do, also because they were like together with VFX supervisor Peter Yord, who was stitching together the different elements of fake heads and real actor, but not doing the CGI, not doing any CGI, but doing in as a VFX composite. I mean, that whole experience, and seeing how far we could push a lot of practical elements by the
Mhm.
help with a bit of digital magic, was so interesting to do, because I think we still managed to get a very analog feel to it after all.
Yeah.
So that part was super interesting from a technical standpoint, but it was more technical, while the other one was there was a lot of feeling going on into it. It may sound a little too much maybe, but it is actually the truth that it's I mean,
No,
yeah.
I appreciate that. I love hearing that because yeah, that's the difference, right? We the audience, we see the flashy stuff, and
Yes.
it's often not until the second or third viewing or when you're paying attention to it for a conversation like this that you start to really pay attention to the subtle details, which obviously is what makes your movie Academy Award worthy.
Probably.
Um,
Thanks.
Thank
I
Yeah.
you.
know I have a million more questions that I would ask you, but I know that you have many other people to talk to, and I want to be respectful of your time. Um, just thank you so much for chatting with us, and everybody at Macabre Daily will be rooting for you on, I think March 10th is the Academy Awards, so
15th.
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 Thank you. Don't go on the 10th. I'll screw it all up.
Thank
Um,
you so much, Brian.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
a
for
lot.
having us.
good luck. And
Thank you.
yes, take care, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.